Hey there guys, in today's video I'm just going to be doing kind of a behind the scenes look at what goes into maintaining our airsoft field. To start off, I'm just going to show you guys some of the tools I take with me when I go on these rounds, then we'll go ahead and go on a circuit around the woods. So for clearing brush and small branches, I bring a pair of clippers as well as a machete like this one. Then for branches and larger logs, I bring a small tomahawk. This is a sawed hatchet. Then usually a pair of gloves just so my hands don't get nicked up on blackberries and then don't get super disgusting on the fungus that grows in the logs that I usually move around. And I also like to bring this toolkit with me. It's got like hammer and nails for fixing up existing forts. Looks like I've also got zip ties and a little bit of rope. Then there's also pliers and a screwdriver, but I don't use them as often as the hammer and nails. I've also got a first aid kit in case I do get nicked up. But that's about it for the tools that I take with me on these runs, so I'll go ahead and take you guys along with me and we'll clear some brush and repair some forts. So since this winter a lot of the brush is dying, but there still are these blackberry bushes which are pretty resilient, so we're just going to go ahead and kind of clear the trails of these. In spring and summer this gets a lot worse. These get a lot more abundant and you have to clear them out a little bit more often. Probably in winter, like hardly at all we have to do this, but in spring and summer it's going to be like every week to 2 weeks. So for today's video, I've already kind of scoured the woods and know that it's a lot of just brush clearing and a couple things that have fallen over. There's not a whole lot of reparations that need to be done. But for the purposes of this video, I still want to take you through my thought process when I come out and do these runs. I just go to each fort and make sure that everything looks okay, nothing's like fallen over. Particularly with any of the elevated forts that we have, I want to make sure that all the braces are still good and that people can stand up there without having a fear of falling down. The platform that we can see behind me is doing okay, but I'm going to be adding a couple additional braces before we do any big games. Then out here behind me we have two of the bunkers. That one's doing okay. There's a pallet in here that I'm going to go ahead and put upright. So we've had a couple stormy days this winter and a lot of the pallets have just fallen over, so this is kind of going to be a theme for today, is just putting some stuff back upright. Now this is a little bunker just to the west of where we just were, and it's doing okay. In the past, some of these pallets have fallen down, but it looks like it's doing all right. I could put up some of these 2x4s to make it a solid barrier. I think those collapsed at one point, so before we do our next game day, I'll probably nail those in instead of just having them piled up like I had them. So in here we've got another pallet that's fallen over, and this is probably partially due to the windstorms we've had, but also but it's also probably partially due to how wet the ground is right here, because this is the post that we have kind of keeping it up, and it probably just slipped out in the mud. So this will do probably okay for now. Coming a little bit further west, still in the same fort, we've got this tower here, and it looks like it's doing okay. It's still sturdy, holds all my weight. And then the rest of the surrounding walls are doing okay as well. Nothing's fallen over really. And then this whole part of the woods behind me is just more of these little trails with no forts in between them, but some of these blackberry bushes are still growing out even in the winter, so I'll go ahead and clear some of these. One of the other things that I'll do while I'm out here is if I see anything that's like out of place or needs to be fixed that I'm not going to get to today, I'll just make a list on my phone of all the things that I want to get to eventually. That way I won't forget about it, and especially if it's something like a fallen over tree that I could use the wood for, I want to remember where it is in our woods. So coming up to the northwest corner of the airsoft field, there's a sniper tower up here, and there was a pallet here that I'm standing on actually right now. I thought I had nailed it in, but it seems to have fallen back in one of the windstorms again, so I'm going to put that back up. And this is what it would look like normally, but it's kind of a happy accident, I think, because now we can leave the pallet down if we want like a prone place to snipe from up high. So in a future video, I may make this into like a sniper hide, put some camouflage netting up here so it's not like totally visible that there's a person in here, but you could still like lay down in here and snipe. So coming back over to the middle of our airsoft field, again, clearing stuff along the way, there's this little fort here that's been kind of in disrepair and I've forgotten about, so I'm going to write a note to myself to come back, add more materials to the walls and just kind of beef it up so it's not quite like this. Coming over to our northeast fort, a lot of the walls look to be intact and they're doing okay. The sniper tower up there is doing okay, but there are some walls on the outside that I'll show you that I'm going to put back together real quick. So it looks like some of this is just kind of rotted away, so I'm going to go ahead and put these logs back, and that's where these gloves again come in handy so I don't get them all grimy. I think this is going to do for now. It's about to the height where it was. It's just mainly a barrier so people don't jump right into the fort. This wall on the other hand is kind of a different story. It's very easy to jump over and get into the fort. When all this foliage on top was still green, it kind of filled up a bit more space, but now that it's kind of died in the winter, it's pretty sparse and very easy to jump over and see through. So that's going to be another thing that I'll add on to my to-do list, but I won't be getting to it today. Now we're almost back to where we started the video. You can see the tree fort behind me that was where we started off by showing you guys the tools. But this is another thing that I'll take note of. There's two dead trees here that I can use as materials for other forts, so I'll remember where they're at and then possibly build a new wall here since this is kind of out in the open, just add another layer of defense between the north and south forts. And I think it's the last fort of the day. I've got this one here that can be propped back upright. This wall used to slide in and out of the pallet, but I don't know if it's going to be doing that much more anymore. So I think that's going to be okay for our purposes. It won't slide in and out anymore, but there'll be a barrier and then this fort can be decently used without this huge open area. So that's going to put us right about to where we started. We've made a whole circuit of our airsoft field. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit different from what I normally put up, but I enjoy kind of showing you guys some behind the scenes stuff of what I go through on maintaining the airsoft field and just maintaining the channel in general. With that said, I think that's gonna be about it for today's video. If you guys are looking for more to watch, as always, I'll have some videos annotated on the right and links to them in the description below. And as always, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.